Hi, welcome to another episode of Photoshop Lightroom TV, your video post about anything Photoshop and Lightroom and photography as well. I'm your host, Marek Mularczyk from SAI Training.co.uk, and in this video I'm going to look at one of the new features in Photoshop CC 2017. Now, we recently had an update, so we have a Photoshop CC 2017, even though it's still 2016. And Adobe has a number of new features. What I want to show you today is the new search feature inside of Photoshop. So now in Photoshop you can search for things. So for example, we've got a search field in the top right corner of the application frame. So if I click on it, we can do some search. So for example, let's say I'm looking for some tool in Photoshop. Now we have loads of tools on the left hand side. They're grouped as well. So for example, by default, looking at the tools panel, I can't see red eye tool, and I'm not sure what it is. I can just start typing red eye, and Photoshop will show me red eye tool, but also at the same time, Photoshop will actually search through images as well on my hard drive. So it's found an image I have called redeyes.jpg, which I use on my Photoshop course, which is in Photoshop course folder and 03 image editing color folder and so on. Okay, but what I'm really looking for is the red eye tool. I could just press J on a keyboard, it's giving me the keyboard shortcut, or I can click on it and Photoshop will actually select the tool in here. So red eye tool is in there. Okay, it's switched because by default what we're looking at was the spot healing brush tool, but they grouped together in here, so it's actually highlighted red eye tool for me automatically. Okay. Another thing I want you to notice is when it's highlighting the tools for you. So if I do a search again, so if I go in here, again, obviously Photoshop remembers what we did earlier, so I'm going to delete that and say I'm going to search maybe for let's say burn tool. So if I type B, U, we've got a burn tool in here. Now have a look in the tools panel. Notice that when I select the burn tool, it's highlighted as well. It's highlighted for just 2 or 3 seconds maybe. And then well, Photoshop selects the tool for you and it's highlighting it at the same time. Now when you search, you can search not just for tools, but you can also search for Adobe stock images, for example. But what you can also search for is you can search for some options in Photoshop. So for example, if I do another search, let's say I want to use camera raw in Photoshop and I'm not sure what it is. So if I type in camera, Photoshop will give me an option. So it says filter camera raw filter in here, or Control-Shift-A. So I could just click on it and Photoshop will open camera raw filter. So I don't need to know what it is in the menu. I don't even need to remember that. Photoshop will just open it and open camera raw window. Or let's say I've got a number of images and I want to do a panorama, but I'm not sure what it is. So I could do a search and say if I do a search for panorama, well, it doesn't give me the panorama in here. That's because even if I go to Photoshop in here, so it's searching through all, but Photoshop will be the same, because creating panoramas is not called panorama in Photoshop. So you need to know what it's called. In this case, it's called photo merge. So if we start typing photo, we get this photo merge in here. So I can just click on it and Photoshop will launch photo merge, which you can normally find under File menu, Automate, and then photo merge. So you need to know what the feature is called or what the tool is called, and then Photoshop will just find it for you really quickly and easily. Okay, so that's the new search feature inside of Photoshop. You can also search stock images in here as well. So it searches through everything. So you can search through Photoshop, you can search through stock as well. You can search through tools and panels and menus. So say I can search for channels panel, for example. So I've got channels panel in here. I can click on it and channels panel will appear and it will be highlighted for just a second or two in here as well. So that's the new search in Photoshop. And I hope you find it useful and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. I'm Marek Mularczyk from SAI Training.co.uk, and thank Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon on another episode of Photoshop Lightroom TV, your video podcast about anything Photoshop and Lightroom and more. If you're interested in learning Photoshop from scratch, have a look on my Udemy video. I've got a Udemy class called Master Photoshop in Easy Steps. I've got one about Lightroom as well, Master Lightroom in Easy Steps, and there's loads of videos in there, everything from start to finish. I'll put a link at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye for now.